Welcome back, horror fans, cinephiles, and giallo enthusiasts. This is Tanner Leeser, your host for all things giallo here on The King in Giallo. Our next stop on our journey through giallo cinema is the only giallo film directed by Francesco Mazzei, The Weapon, the Hour, and the Motive, released on November 23rd, 1972. Well, let's waste no time and get right into it. Here is The Weapon, the Hour, and the Motive. Overview. The Weapon, the Hour, and the Motive, also called L'arma, l'ora, il movente, or in German, Die Waffe, die Stunde, das Motiv, is an Italian production directed by Francesco Mazzei, who also co-wrote it along with Mario Bianchi, Bruno Di Geronimo, and Vinicio Marinucci. Music is composed by Francesco De Masi. The cast is comprised of Renzo Montagnani as Commissario Franco Boito, Betty Morati as Orchidea Durantini, Arturo Trina as Ferruccio, Eva Cemaris as Giulia Pisani, Maurizio Bonuglia as Don Giorgio, Salvatore Pontillo as Morricone, and Claudia Gravi as Sister Tarquina. The plot follows Don Giorgio, a young priest who has allowed himself to become entangled in affairs with two women, Orchidea and Giulia. When he resolves to end both relationships and recommit to his vocation, he pays the price with his life, being brutally murdered. Commissario Franco Boito takes on the case, but complicates matters further when he begins an affair with Orchidea, one of the prime suspects. As the investigation unfolds, more deaths follow, and the truth behind the crimes becomes steadily more complex and dangerous. Given the deeply Catholic character of Italy, it is no surprise that the country's exploitation cinema frequently took aim at the darker undercurrents of the church. By the early 70s, gialli often featured priests as killers, or at least psychologically disturbed figures. But Francesco Mazzei's film stood out as an unusual inversion. Here, the victim is the priest, one whose carnal weaknesses open the door to scandal and murder. The cloistered convent backdrop also allows for moments of titillation, most notably a shower sequence involving nuns, linking the film to the nunsploitation trend that surged after the notoriety of Ken Russell's The Devils, 1971. At its best, the film benefits from a fresh storyline and a handful of intriguing character dynamics. Still, it falters with an unconvincing central romance. It strains credibility that a police commissioner would so easily begin a relationship, let alone contemplate engagement with a woman directly entangled in his own murder case. The contrivance feels more like melodramatic convenience than organic storytelling, and it hampers some of the narrative's believability. That being said, the film has style. Mazzei presents the convolutions of his plot with a degree of polish, and for the most part, the twists remain plausible. The church setting provides atmosphere, while the inclusion of a child character, young Ferruccio, who knows more than he lets on, adds an extra layer of tension. The violence is relatively restrained compared to other gialli, with a modest body count, but one razor-slashing sequence comes suddenly and savagely, leaving a sharp impression thanks to its ferocity. The gore here is accomplished by none other than special effects master Carlo Rambaldi. Alien, 1979, and E.T. the Extraterrestrial, 1982, but also the giallo films Deep Red, 1975, A Bay of Blood, and A Lizard in a Woman's Skin, both 1971. The pacing, while deliberate, is steady. At just over 100 minutes, the runtime feels a touch long, but never drags to the point of disengagement. Mazzei's direction avoids the hyper-stylized camera tricks of his contemporaries. There are no color schemes or flamboyant compositions, but neither does the film feel careless. Even the flirtations with exploitation imagery remain consistent with the larger themes of repression, guilt, and desire that drive the story. Performances are solid throughout. While there are no marquee stars, the supporting cast includes several familiar faces for giallo devotees. Maurizio Bonuglia seen in The Fifth Chord, 1971. Ava Chemaris appeared earlier in The Cat in Heat and later appears in The Killer Reserved 9 Seats, 1974, and Salvatore Pontiglio, recognizable from Top Sensation, 1969. In the leads, Renzo Montagnani plays Commissario Boito with a balance of pragmatism, sly humor, and warmth, while Betty Moratti brings presence as Orchidea, simultaneously functioning as romantic partner and red herring. Their chemistry softens the implausibility of their relationship arc, lending the film an emotional foothold. Francesco Mazzei himself remains an obscure figure in Italian cinema. Biographical details are scarce, and filmographies suggest he worked mainly as a producer between 1961 and 1971. The Weapon, the Hour, and the Motive appears to be his only directorial effort, making it a rare and singular entry in the genre. In closing, The Weapon, the Hour, and the Motive is a fascinating hybrid, a giallo inflected with nunsploitation, equal parts sensual and psychological, trying to balance lurid appeal with brooding character study. While not without flaws, chiefly its contrived romance, it remains distinctive for its subject matter, its memorable set pieces, and its willingness to probe the hypocrisies of religious repression. For many viewers, it ranks among the more original gialli of its year, and although director Mazzei never made another, his lone contribution adds a provocative wrinkle to the genre's crowded 1972 slate. Thank you for watching this overview video. As of the time of recording this, The Weapon, the Hour, and the Motive doesn't appear to be on any streaming sites. Stick around though, I will have it up tomorrow. Don't forget to support these movies by buying them on physical media wherever possible. Stay tuned for my unscripted movie review for The Weapon, the Hour, and the Motive, as well as the Gialli Tally. Comment your predictions for the AZ score for the movie and the final Gialli Tally score. Thank you very much for your continued support. This is Tanner Leeser for The King in Giallo, and if nothing else, I'll see you next time.